I don't really know how to start shows.
Come on now, don't start liking me now.
So yeah, I'm funny compared to, well, you'll see later. I stand for mayhem!
I know a lot of fucking idiots that think a lot of shit is mean-spirited just because it goes against what they believe. But the relief of comedy is it takes things that aren't funny and it allows us to laugh about them for an hour.
We got a purple suit to buy and a gigantic coffin.
Why are you laughing?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Why Are You Laughing, a history of comedy podcast. And today, I am pleased to introduce to you Mr. Artie Lange. That's right. One of my favorites, really. One of my favorite characters in the world of radio and stand-up throughout the years. And he's kind of disappeared lately. So we'll get into it. I think of him, as I'm sure a lot of people do, as one of the great personalities in radio history. And probably doesn't get enough credit for being as good a broadcaster as he is, because people know him more for his, personality and all the baggage that goes along with that. But I think even when he hosted a show on his own, like away from Stern, I think he was very good. And I think all the way up to Artie Lange's Halfway House, the first version of that, I think he was still very good. Now, there are reasons things started to fail, which we'll get into. But I think Artie is a fascinating character. I hope he's doing okay now. But I just wanted to take this time because I know a lot of people that listen are like Stern and Opie and Anthony and just radio in general fans. So I feel like a lot of people like Artie Lange. So like I said, if you get to the end of the episode and want a part 2, let me know, because we're barely scratching the surface with this guy. Saying that, but
that's true.
Norm off the list. Gilbert's gone. Saget.
Yeah,
he's
true.
outdoing them all.
Yeah, he'll survive like the nuclear explosion with the cockroaches and Twinkies. He'll just be Artie Lange.
All right. So what's next?
We have his first appearance on Stern.
Yeah. So this is it kind of combines two things. It's the first time he was ever on the Howard Stern show, and shout out to Norm. Who knows what Artie's life would have been like? This is what's so interesting about moments like this. Literally, who knows what Artie's career and life would have been if Norm didn't do this. This is when one of our first episodes was Norm getting fired from Saturday Night Live. Right around that time when Norm was doing these appearances on Letterman and Stern, telling the story constantly. This is one of those instances. And he was making dirty work, and Artie Lange happened to be with him that day.
I brought my friends Lojo and Frank Sebastiano and Artie Lange, my buddy that I did this movie with.
Is that the guy who got fired from Mad TV?
Yeah, man, he got fired from Mad TV.
Yeah.
This is the coolest story.
What did he? Where is he? Bring him in too.
He's a good guy, man.
Come on in here.
Funniest story.
What's this guy's name? Artie.
Artie.
I like how that's Norm being a terrific friend.
Yeah.
Being like, I'm going on this show. I'm going to shoehorn your name in here to get you on the program. Yeah, that's a tremendous friend. And what's great about Norm, and the reason I love Norm, is that it almost sounds like he's fucking with him or fucking with Howard or something. Yeah.
Where he's like, it's the coolest story. It almost sounds like he's doing a Norm impression.
It's so cool.
But yeah, that's him being a great friend. And like I said, if Norm doesn't do that, if he just says, a couple of my friends are outside, who knows? I mean, Artie, maybe he has a career in stand-up. The one thing I will say about Artie Lange is that he's the only person, and I mean of people that worked there, like Gilbert obviously had his own career and everything like that. You know what? I take that back, because I'm thinking now Billy West also stood up on his own. Billy West and Artie Lange would be the two guys that really paved their own way outside of the Stern show. Now, you can also argue maybe Artie Lange never would been making $800,000 a night doing theaters for stand-up if it wasn't for the Stern show. But he got acting roles, and he was on Norm's show and Mad TV without Howard. After Howard, he was on Crashing and things like that. So he had his own success outside of the show. But not only is this his first appearance on Stern, he's also telling stories about his only, real prior success, which was Mad TV. Now, we talked about the early day when we talked about Chevy Chase. We talked about what a success the first season of Saturday Night Live was, and that first cast. It wasn't the same with Mad TV. It seems like, I mean, Mad TV at no point was a massive success, but even to the fans of Mad TV, when you think back on it, you're never thinking of season 1, the time that Artie was there.
Yeah, Artie, Bobby Lee, Brian Callen, Will Sasso, heavy hitters.
Yeah, they did have some big names, but this is Artie telling a story of basically how he got fired from Mad TV.
Fight. Yeah, so they go to the Tyson fight, right? Then this dude, Artie bets like more money than he has. Like,
how much did you bet?
I bet like $15,000.
Okay.
Right? So then, of course, Tyson loses. So then he goes crazy. He doesn't know what to do. He's trying to get his money back, so he goes to the casino, loses a bunch of money in the casino.
How much did you lose in the casino?
Like another $5,000.
Okay.
Like this sent you on a tear. Huh?
Yeah.
He just went into a spiral. Then he does a bunch of coke and beats up his manager.
Really?
And gets thrown in jail.
Really?
And then when he gets thrown in jail, some dude...
How come fat guys are all doing coke and they're still fat? I thought you get thin from doing coke.
Well, actually, I haven't done coke in like 8 months.
What, you go to rehab?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? What, do you just hang around with like Chris Farley and this guy? I mean, it's like all fat guys that do coke.
Really
Why,
good,
weren't we going to call Don Omar? Wasn't that going to happen?
That was the idea.
So then he gets fired from the show.
Right.
He doesn't have any money. And
because he did the gambling and he got
thrown
arrested
in jail
for beating up that guy.
Yeah. So then he has to go back to...
I didn't beat anybody up.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
So then he has to go back to New Jersey and become a cab driver.
Is that right?
So Norm's obviously telling a fun version of the story, and you can tell Artie's like super nervous there. And it's funny. So this is I just wanted to include some aspect of the dirty work thing, and I figured might as well go with a story about one of Artie's clear influences and clear idols. He obviously idolized Stern. If you were a listener, you heard that a lot. But you can also hear a lot of Rickles in Artie's, just the way Artie talks and tells stories, even all the way down to the, I don't know if it's in this clip, but in this Letterman appearance, he has a kind of a throwaway line and then goes, anyway, which is a Rickles thing.
First day of shooting, we have to work with the great Don Rickles.
Tremendous.
Okay.
Just tremendous.
Now, that's good and bad. I'm happy to meet him, but I'm afraid I'm just going to bust out laughing because Don Rickles, coincidentally enough, plays a guy who insults me and Norm. It's typecasting. And they give Don a bunch of lines to learn, and that's a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a master at it. So finally, he couldn't really remember the lines. They say, Don, look at Norm and Artie, look at these two schlubs, and just insult them off the top of your head. So this is the first shot of the movie, and I got Don Rickles about to insult me.
Well, let's hear it.
The Rickles line?
Yeah.
And Marty, Bob Saget's directing a film. The man grabbed his chest. So that was good for Saget's confidence, isn't it? So the first shot is a 3-shot, me, Norm, and Rickles. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying not to laugh. We play these idiot theater guys. We work in a movie theater. And Rickles is our boss. So they yell action. Rickles comes up to me. I have no idea what he's going to say. He gets this far from my face, and he goes, look at you. Look at you, you baby gorilla.
And all the lines, Artie talks about a couple more lines that he has. All the lines are in the movie Dirty Work if you go watch that scene. And what's beautiful about that scene is like, there's virtually no reason for it.
None. He's
I guess it shows that these guys have like dead end jobs or whatever, but it's really all the scene is doing is saying, hey, how do we get Don Rickles into this movie?
Toy Story got him. How can we?
And he says, I think one of the lines is Baskin Robbins called, you ate them down to only 7 flavors. And then he leans into Artie's belly and just says, are you having fun in there in ice cream, dancing around? It's nonsense.
Oh, it's so funny.
But Don Rickles being in that movie is beautiful, and then he moves on to harassing Norm after that.
He gets to that, and then he gets to Norm. He has to insult Norm now. Norm, by the way, never didn't laugh. If you rent the movie Dirty Work, Norm is laughing in the scene. He's not a great actor like me, Norm. We weren't exactly Newman and Redford, you know. So then Rickles gets to Norm, he's laughing, so they had to write him a line. He goes, "What are you laughing at? Because I called your friend a fat pig." And then Norm goes, "No, I was just laughing when you were talking to his belly." So while we're filming in the movie, he goes to Norm, he goes, "How did you get a movie?" And Saget being a brilliant director, goes, "Cut. Don, you can't insult him as Norm MacDonald. That's not going to work, you know. We can't put it in the film. His name is Mitch in the film. Insult Mitch." So Rickles goes, "All right." And the next thing he goes, "Look at you." He goes, "Who wrote this script? These jokes are horrible." "Cut, Don, don't insult the script. We can't use it." So anyway, it was 18 hours of that. At the end of the day, I went up to him. I said, "Mr. Rickles, it was a pleasure working with you." And he looked at me and he said, "Listen, I was watching you all day, and listen, let me tell you something. Good luck working construction."
I think my favorite line in there is Artie saying, and Bob Saget, being a brilliant director, had the sense to say, "You can't insult him as Norm MacDonald."
You can't break the fourth wall.
Yeah, as if no one would have picked up on that. So what were you alluding to? What's our next clip?
It's just post nose collapsing, which we'll get to in a little.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But this is him talking about methadone.
Okay.
A couple of times I went to a methadone clinic that opened at 6 a.m. Because the guy was a fan of Stern, he would let me come into the methadone clinic at 5:30 and I took a shot. They give it to you in orange juice. Okay, you take a shot of orange juice with the methadone. Twice I threw up on the air. And one time, again, I was never funnier off the shit than this. Howard was talking, I think it was Roseanne Barr, and Howard said, "Hey, you look thin." She was on the phone. And I'm nauseous. Like, okay, so listen to this timing. I'm nauseous from the methadone. I feel like I'm going to throw up, and I got a live mic, you know. Right. And she goes, "Yeah, Howard, I've been exercising." And he goes, "What have you been doing?" She goes, "Well, I get in a two-piece bathing suit now." As soon as she said that, you hear me go.
So what's sad there is the sad thing about Artie in general is that you can laugh at every clip, and then if you seriously break it down, it's a tragedy. And then we find out you were lying. Then it's a whole vicious cycle with drug addicts. But I think when you get to a certain age, people even start to lose that sympathy for you.
Right, exactly. Next, we have him talking about Bob Uecker.
So again, he's a great storyteller. I think that's evident in all these clips. I wanted to include at least one story that has nothing to do with drugs or anything. And the first one that came to mind for me was this Bob Uecker story where him and Norm visited Bob Uecker in the booth.
He had a cough button. You know, if you're going to cough, you hit the cough button and you're not on the air. Sure. So from what I remember, Norm may not remember this because he's friends with Bob Uecker. But, Uecker would be announcing the baseball game. Right. And like a fucking jazz musician, it was unbelievable. If he saw a really hot chick in the crowd, he would hit the cough button and say something filthy about her, then go right back to announcing the game. It was like magic. So
unbelievable. You think that's a high risk thing to be doing. That's like walking the high wire.
He would say shit like this. He'd go, here's the 2-2 pitch to Sosa, ground ball to shortstop. Look at the fucking tits on that whore. Over to first base, 2 down.
You hit the button that quickly.
Yeah, and
so you must have been out of your mind, entertained, and now when you listen to him, you're wondering, like, during the spaces, what he's saying.
Howard, that's the story I told on Letterman. I cleaned it up. Right. And he started using like old guy words for the chicks. Like he'd go, fly ball to center field. God, I like to get with that trollop. That's the third out. so the other thing he did, let me tell the one other thing he did, because this is amazing.
Yeah.
He sees John Fogerty.
Oh, that was what I was going to say.
Creedence Clearwater
Let me tell that one.
All right, go ahead.
So he sees John Fogerty, from Creedence Clearwater Revival. So he's like, "Hey man, that fucker's a rock singer." He goes, "But he can get out of the sand trap like nobody's fucking business. I played in a charity tournament with him." So we're like, yeah, we know who John Fogerty is. And he goes, Because at the 7th inning stretch, I'll have the fucker come up and sing for you.
Fogarty's there with his kid, by the way. He's a big Cub fan. He's here with his 8-year-old son, John Fogarty.
So we're like, no, you don't have to do that.
Right, don't get John Fogarty to sing.
Leave him alone. It's all right. We don't want him singing in front of us.
So then he gets mad at us. He goes, do you even know who fucking John Fogarty is? So we go, yeah. He did Creedence Clearwater Revival. He goes, yeah, he did all that fucking shit.
I left a little extra Norm in there for all of us. Teddy was Artie's assistant. And other than this, I don't know how much he was ever on air. I don't think he was a big character on Stern or anything. But I guess Artie was very good to him and would like loan him money and things when he needed it. And it's hard to tell because Artie's definitely fucked up during this exchange. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to tell how much of this is real, but essentially the accusation against Teddy is that he's being ungrateful to Artie, and that Artie doesn't really appreciate it. Now, I think the backbone to a lot of it is drug-fueled, as you'll see in a moment. But it got to be over money. There's an interesting thing. I didn't pull clips from it, but he also went back and forth with Dice over money. I don't know if it was always drug related, but like money was a big deal with Artie. And in that clip with Dice where he's arguing, he's going back and forth over money, and Artie gives exact amounts that he was owed. And Dice goes, well, first of all, I didn't realize you said what you got paid on the radio, which is fucking psychotic. Which is true. Like Artie was very obsessed with money, and he would talk about how much he got paid at gigs and things like that. Which is probably ill-advised just from a business perspective. But in this exchange, it seems to be about the money, but I think there's a little more to it.
You're always like, I'll give you money on Monday. And then you don't give me money on Monday.
I give you money all the time,
you
motherfucker.
wave $500 in front of me. I need that $500.
All right, you always get it. You always get that money.
But then I have to prod and poke you for it, and I hate doing that.
But Artie, it's not your paycheck. When I'm doing these little prod and poke me for money, Daddy doesn't know.
No bullshit. Half the paycheck isn't in the.
Artie, I got to take umbrage with you for one thing.
Howard, you're being wrong.
Can I tell you why I'm right?
You're coddling him.
No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you something.
Whatever.
All
right, hear my point of view.
Really fucked up, man.
No, I hate you, Ted.
Yeah.
No, Artie, no. Artie, stop it. Artie, stop it. Stop it.
Teddy.
Stop it.
Whoa.
Artie, no. Artie.
Go! Now, close the door! Jesus Christ, you people are crazy!
Steal my fucking money, Ted.
Oh, wait a second.
Wow.
I keep telling. Why are you bringing this up?
I don't know this is
No,
Artie, stop it.
Jesus Christ!
Oh.
What the F is going on here?
I've always found that ending baffling. So first of all, based on Robin's reaction to things, if I was just listening to that, I'd be like, oh, this is fake.
Right.
It isn't. If you watch the video, it's very real. And if you hear Artie's voice and everything, it's a peek inside what probably went on behind the scenes a lot. So yeah, this is him talking about what happened to the nose. If you've seen him in recent years, the thing that stands out most is his nose. So this is, I think he said it was a multitude of things that resulted in that, but this is probably the big one.
30 years of drug use, but this is one of the crazier stories. So there was this stripper I used to go on the road with, and she would meet me in cities. She was actually from Boston. She was from Southie, and she was hot, but when she like talked during sex, she sounded like Mark Wahlberg.
That accent's so gross.
Yeah, it is like, fuck me, you wicked heart. Fuck, you know. But she was beautiful, and over the years, like I would meet her at hotels. She would come with me on the road, and she was a drug addict. We used to snort drugs together. So we're at a hotel in St. Louis. It's gonna be about 5 years ago now. No, less, 4 years ago. And we're snorting Oxycontin. So to snort the pills, you got to crush them up. So we're in this hotel room, this nice hotel room. I got a show that night at a big theater. And I take a shower. She takes out like about 5 pills and starts crushing them. Now, it was a nice hotel, so we had room service. The room service had a salt shaker that was glass, so she couldn't crush one of the pills. She takes the salt shaker and starts hitting the pill with it, and the salt shaker breaks. Glass breaks. Okay. So then she takes a credit card and makes it into a fine powder, a fine dust, not knowing there's all glass in the powder. She cuts out like 4 lines. She gets called down to the desk to go to. I bought her a gift, so she goes down to get the gift. I come out of the bathroom and I see the lines, and I take a pen that I had cut down, and I snort one of the lines, and there's glass in it. I snorted glass and oxycodone.
Holy shit!
Good God.
Ugh.
It's a weird story though, because I don't understand why would she chop it up in the lines. I don't get that part.
It hits you different if you snort it rather than just take it.
No. No, I know that. I get that. We just played a clip of him on Opie and Jim. He started doing these podcasts and shows that he never could because of his association with Stern prior. Now he started doing the Anthony Cumia show, and they had some real chemistry. And they started the AA show, the Artie and Anthony show on Compound Media. And this seemed like a can't miss idea. Did that seem great?
It was great while it lasted.
it certainly was. That's where we are, by the way, right? Before
this is our last clip.
Wow, we sped through them. So Artie and Anthony did a show together. When they were together, it was great. The problem was subscribers started to complain because a lot of people subscribed when Artie joined. And I think they were paying him a lot of money. But what happened was often Artie would not be there, or he'd be late. He'd miss the first hour of a 2-hour show very often.
Yeah.
And then Anthony brought in Dave Landau as like a third mic, just to have someone to talk to when Artie was an hour late or didn't show up at all.
Right. Just by just in case, we mean when it happens this week, always.
Yeah, almost every day, pretty much at a certain point.
Right.
And then it just got to a point where Anthony was like, we're paying this guy a lot of money. It doesn't make any sense anymore. He's not doing the show. So it doesn't make any sense. I also think there was something in Artie's contract, like if he doesn't make it through X number of months, then they don't have to pay him this certain thing. There was something, I've heard rumors about that, none of it confirmed. But just, from a business perspective, it doesn't make any sense to pay a guy to not be there,
Right, exactly.
And at that time, Artie also had Crashing. He was on HBO. That's the amazing thing is like he was able to be successful during all this. He was on a Judd Apatow HBO show while his life was falling apart. So this is Anthony talking about some of the turmoil they went through on the Artie and Anthony show.
It was literally 9 months. It was 9 months. So what year was it?
It was a great 9 months. The first few episodes were so good. And then
watching the fall.
Yeah, you'd be like,
spiral.
Artie's a little late today.
Yeah.
But, so we're going to start without him.
But everything's fine. Okay. And I was the battered wife saying, everything's good. No, don't worry. Artie's fine.
They were doing the show alone.
He was at the hotel doing drugs all night.
40 feet from here.
40 feet from here. The hotel, which, by the way, won't allow us to pay for his room anymore because they walked in and blood was everywhere. All over the bed, the towels. They thought a murder had happened.
So that...
So what's really sad about that is when Artie was there, their chemistry was magic. As a longtime Opie and Anthony listener, I would say the only person that was ever close to doing the funny well, I shouldn't say that because Patrice was great with Anthony, but in a very different way.
Yep.
But I'm saying just quickness of firing away lines. Anthony and Norton is one of my favorite combinations, but I think the only guy to come in and match what Norton would do with him was Artie.
For sure.
And we'll go back and listen to the Joe Matarese episode, folks.
The best.
The three of them together, it was magic.
It was the best thing ever.
Yeah. So that could have been something great. That's what's sad about it is Artie and Anthony could have been a great show. But it just didn't work out. Artie was not at that place in his life. Then Artie comes back with another podcast, Artie Lange's Halfway House. He had Anthony on. That's the thing is Anthony is totally cool with Artie. He's just like, as so many people in Artie's life have been. Same with Nick DiPaolo, where he's like, I love Artie, but the problem is the guy, he just didn't show up for work, you know?
Can't rely on him.
Well, you can't rely on the guy. That's a big problem. So I'm sorry if if I bummed people out the way that I did this, but let's keep in mind, we are celebrating a great career. And honestly, one of the most inspirational triumphs of the human spirit, because like I said, this guy has lived through cocaine and heroin addiction longer than anyone in the history of mankind, I think.